Okay, so another one of those days. It's kind of been like this for the whole week, but it's just another Nofap update video. It's day 152, and yet again, I'm headed to work. It's Friday. I'm sure you guys can't see me if you're watching, but clock says it's 5:36 a.m. I kind of wish it was, but it's actually more like 6:36 because daylight savings time and all that. But yeah, this whole process is becoming less and less about Nofap and more about other things in life, which I don't know. I'm wondering at what point I'll truly be like this, looking at it 100% about life and not. I'll be calling it Nofap Day, whatever. It'd just be like another day in the life of, who knows, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months, maybe a year. I know at the very least, with the momentum I have going right now, assuming I keep this up, I really want to get to 9 months of Nofap, and then from there to a year. And I think if I get to a year, I can kind of say, okay, I've figured this whole Nofap thing out 100%. Whether or not I end up relapsing or going back, I'll at least have it figured out, and then I can kind of move on to other things 100%, or so. Which one to say that I wouldn't have sort of any sort of PMO related stuff, to either talk about or contend with, but it'll really be about like fixing other things in my life, and I don't know if I'll be vlogging at that point. I probably still will be, but I'll be like, talking about other topics, and if I do get to that point, I may even just make a Nofap FAQ video, and kind of like leave it at that. And if anybody has any sorts of questions, they can ask, or I could just refer them to that video. But yeah. So as I drive to work today, the grade for the quiz got released, and I obviously didn't do that well. It was like 11.5 out of 20. I thought I had, a relatively good understanding of the material, or at least, better than better than I turned out to have. But at the same time, you go back and there's recent videos that was going on and on about how I need to study more and put more time in and all that. And yeah, I really do. I know it's not like a uncommon phenomenon where you have like a bad test score and you got to recover from it and all that. Like I said, before, look at these quizzes are only worth, each of them like about 5% of the grade. He does drop one of them. So right now I'm in this sort of spot where I have enough data points to look at going, okay, obviously I haven't been preparing, well enough. I've, just barely been like scraping by, and I'm not failing the class, but if you look at it from a grad school perspective, it's like, yeah, I am failing the class. Undergrad level, it'd just be, okay, get that C or C minus or C plus, and pass the class. But grad schools say they want B or higher. Yeah, they want to B or higher. And of course, there's the whole GPA aspect. I think I've been over that enough times, but yeah, essentially, like I said, I got enough data points to show that what I'm doing is not enough. And truth be told, it's like about more than just okay, how much I've been studying. Like it's more like how I've been studying, and then even more so like how I've been managing things with work and sleep and finances and things of that nature. That's sort of like they all impinge on each other. They all affect each other. Like this week, I definitely found it hard to get to sleep. And it's sort of like, if you wake up in the morning, even if you get up on time, so to speak, and you get to work or get to class on time. If you're going in, starting the day off, with not enough rest, it's sort of like if you're starting off at a disadvantage, basically. And then it sort of rolls into other things. And if it gets to the point, it's like the afternoon or evening after work or after class, and you need to be sitting down and doing, another problem set, 5, 10, 20 problems, a day or something like that. However long it takes you to have spent the requisite amount of, focused study time, such that, you'll be able to be ready for your midterm or your quiz, even if you know that, but you're like so exhausted that you're just kind of like you're either doing that on autopilot or you're just like not studying at all because you'd rather sleep because you're tired. You have that happen enough times in a row, like you're gonna go into that exam just like not prepared, stressing out, like, oh my god, I'm not ready, and yet I gotta like go and take this exam or whatever, and there goes your grade. And for me, this is some of the situations where, like, yeah, I could technically speaking just drop the class and heck, even just give up on grad school, but I know it's not gonna like lead to the kind of life that I would want. If I focus on my job, making that money, I can pay off all my debts, I can get myself into a good spot financially speaking, but there'll always be that something missing. I mean, it's kind of strange because it's sort of like it's not necessary to my survival per se, but it's necessary to the quality of life, and it's yet another reason why. And I did make a video yesterday. I haven't uploaded it. I don't know if there was sort of a point to doing that, but it had to do with the whole like female co-worker I find attractive deal, because in the interest of being discreet about it, I did talk to another co-worker, the one who had gone around asking if who was single, who wasn't, that sort of deal. And I kind of talked to her about it, and she seemed to understand, but sort of that same thing of like, I could live without, going and trying to like, date this girl or asking her out or whatever. But, how's it gonna affect sort of like my quality of life? How's it gonna affect other things? And like, I made it clear, like, I would rather just plain simply like avoid drama as much as possible, especially if this kind of drama is gonna like get in the way of me making a living. But at the same time, like, what the heck is going on here? Either this is just I'm getting distracted. Well, not really getting distracted, but it's sort of like, obviously, like, I'm driving, and it's not a static situation where nothing's going on while I'm recording this video. But I mean, it could affect my quality of work. It could affect my ability to stay employed if, like, it's kind of like if you got the feelings for some girl in one of your classes or so, and like, but she, like, she's dating some other guy, and maybe you had basically like maybe you had a chance, like, basically kind of like with the one-itis girl. I saw how that affected my grades to the extent that even if I had, how should I put it, like, even if I still was like, okay, I want to go for the biomedical engineering master's program, and I still had to take some of these classes, there are certain ones that I wouldn't have had to take if for instance, I hadn't had that whole deal affecting, my grades. I wouldn't have, as much of a hurdle to surmount. And, it's sort of like, if I compare that scenario to the scenario I'm in right now, it's almost like being able to stay focused, do quality work, get the kind of rest I need, all that kind of stuff. Like if having romantic drama at work because you got a crush on this female coworker, and she's dating one of your other coworkers because you had the chance with her but you didn't make the move, or whatever the case may be. I mean, if I don't act in such a manner as to prevent that, and that could still mean that, okay, I don't get with this girl, we don't date, nothing goes down, so to speak, but at the same time, avoiding workplace drama, especially when it is occurring at a time in my life where I'm at this, this financial, educational sort of impasse. Because for instance, I still have 3 student loan accounts to pay off, plus my car loan, and I'm at this spot right now where I buckle down and I make the kinds of payments I want to make on, for instance, the current student loan, and I could have that paid off by the end of the summer, and I could probably have the majority of the car loan paid off by the end of the year. It'd get me to the point where I'd be within maybe a few months worth of payments of being within a 1-to-1 debt to income ratio. So essentially I'd be getting to the point where I owed as much as I make. I probably could sort of reiterate that and go into more detail on some other video, like another journey out of debt video, but it's all these sorts of things that are going on right now, and it's sort of like, okay, what's the priority and how do you handle these sorts of situations? Because none of this stuff ever seems to happen at the right time, which is kind of annoying. It's not like I'm just taking a class and there aren't any attractive women in my classes, and I don't have to work. It's sort of it's like I had to work and make the money, and I got debts to pay, and I got this class, and there's an attractive female coworker, obviously an attractive coworker at my job, and there's a possibility of almost having to compete with some other guy who got hired at the same time as myself for her affections or something, and it's just it's almost like this worst case scenario as far as all those factors are concerned, because I could make quote unquote the right decision financially and educationally speaking, but there's always that sort of side of yourself as a guy, I think in particular, where you're sort of looking at life and going, okay, even if I have my money sorted out and my education sorted out, it's sort of what's the whole big point of all of this, and will I be happy looking back on things and going, man, I had this opportunity, I had this chance, and I decided to turn that down because with some girl because I thought I couldn't afford it or whatever, and but yeah, all this kind of stuff that seems to be just sort of happening at the same time, and even some health stuff that eventually I will probably just vlog about. like I said, this channel has turned more into like me just, airing my grievances or discussing whatever issues I'm facing or getting stuff off my chest, because I sort of feel that need to, in order to have sort of some sort of peace of mind, that I can feel like I'm not just holding everything in or keeping stuff very close to my chest, so to speak. Unless it's stuff that I feel like if I did let it out, that it would cause me some sort of trouble further down the line, or more immediately, But yeah, I know tonight or this evening I'm going to have to actually get the homework done and turn that in. It's going to be a real slog. I don't know if I'll just stay after work and do that or what, but I know I have some stuff to do that I will be staying after work for, but we'll see how late I am up tonight, because like I said, I will have to be doing all these extra problem sets from here on out. At the very least, I think the only way I can really guarantee that I go in feeling, like I'm ready, is just to be doing so many freaking problems that, there's no other, there's no like excuse. Like I can say, oh, I didn't study enough, or, I didn't make enough of an effort, or oh, if only I'd done this or that. I would like to be, there, sitting there, like, I'm vlogging, let's say, and it's sort of like the day before the exam. I'm like, okay, I've done all the in-class activity problems from the start of the semester all the way up to now. I've done all the worked example problems. I've done all the homework. I've done this, I've done that. I've even gone beyond that maybe and picked up problems from the textbook. I've, eaten, breathed, and slept, this class for the last, let's say, last month. And, worst comes to worst, it won't have the positive effect that I want it to, but you know what, I've done my due diligence, and I've left no stone unturned. I think like the majority of the time I did that, at least at community college, as long as I did that, at the very least I passed the class. But then there were a couple where I got like a B or higher, and there were some of them where it really was one of those, you have to do as many freaking problems as you can before the exam, in between exams, so you can walk in there and be like, oh, this looks like one of the ones that I did, studying, and you can at least get the majority of the points. Because like at my statics class, the first time I took it, I was bombing and I had to withdraw from the class. The second time around I took it, I just, I did that. It was like all day, every day, it was just like studying for that class, and I got a B in it. Which, I think that placed me, like, because, my exam scores were, they still weren't great, but he, like, curved the grade, that professor did. But I think, like, the averages was in the 50s. I got in the 60s. There were a few people, I think a couple of people who had, 70% something or others on the exams, and then he curved it, so those 70s became A's, 60s became B's, and then if you got it somewhere in the 50s, you passed the class. I don't think this professor, the one that in my class I'm currently taking, doesn't sound like he curves. I've kind of come to not expect that for upper division classes, unless the majority of the class is like bombing, then obviously he's gonna have to step in and be like, okay, I'm gonna alter the deal, kind of like almost like Darth Vader from Empire Strikes Back. I'm gonna alter the deal, and I'll have to curb it so that enough of my students pass the class, because maybe he's looking at it going, I need to have a certain passing rate so that I can get tenure. I can't have all my students failing the class, or even the majority of failing the class, because the classes that he teaches, because that's one of the metrics by which they say yay or nay to tenure. But I don't expect him to curb it. I will have to work for this, and I think I've already started the process, because I have a couple problem sets that I did get done, and a couple more of those worked example problems. So I started that process, but it's going to mean a matter of reasonably mapping things out so that I can get stuff done. I don't want to be sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to get 20 problems done each day, when truth is I can only get 10, or I can only get 5. Get that number done. But all that being said, I got my work cut out for me. Right now I'm sitting at a C+ in the class, and very least I need to be finishing with a B or higher, preferably higher than that, like a B+ or an A-, and I can still pull that off, but it will mean a lot more work, and it will mean turning out certain results in the remaining assignments in the class. So, excuse me. That's where way more that is way more where my focus is right now, and I think that's kind of so much the deal, yet again with Nofap, is I see a lot of guys out there who are, they're relapsing, or they're on day 1 or day 2, and, as much as, there's something you figured out about it, you get to a point where you understand that it's sort of the secret to succeeding is not just not fapping. It's literally like no fap. Sort of like a Zen koan, where the truth is it's not about not fapping. It's about confronting whatever underlying issues you have, getting a handle on life, figuring out your thought processes, how you respond to things in life, and why it is that you feel maybe that your life is so out of control, or maybe if it is as simple as getting a girlfriend, why it is that you're not really that great with women, or you kind of suck with women, and why you can't get that girlfriend, or if you do get a girlfriend, why you're always failing, or getting dumped, or having breakups, or why when you ask a girl, she's always saying no to you, she's not going to go out with you, figuring that sort of stuff out. It's more about that, than it is literally about just not fapping. And I think that's kind of been one of the problems with the Nofap communities. They want to oftentimes treat Nofap as if it's a panacea. It's going to solve all your problems, and then of course you have the folks on the opposite end of the spectrum who just want to criticize it and make jokes about it. And, oh, these Nofap guys are so lame. They think that if they don't PMO, they're going to get these superpowers, and let's mock that. Let's focus in on that. So they kind of they kind of straw man the Nofap community, or Nofap as a thing. They straw man it, and unfortunately, a lot of the folks in the Nofap community fall for that stuff, or they fall into that category. They kind of do that themselves. They're like, oh man, I haven't fapped for X number of days. I got these superpowers. I can actually, I don't know, talk to people and not, look at the ground or whatever the case may be. And it's sort of like, that's great and all, but until or unless you like start digging deeper and really making deeper changes, like, for instance, me sitting here going, okay, here's what I really need to do in order to turn my grade around, and get that sort of thing straightened out, because that's one aspect of this bigger problem called life. And if I don't handle this stuff, like I know enough that if I don't handle stuff like my grades or stuff having to do with women or having to do with my job, that eventually I will get to a point where PMO is like the one thing that I feel I can do to deal with the pain or the anxiety or the stress or the pressure or whatever the heck it is that I'm feeling, And if I'm at that sort of state, that sort of point, then, my life will have to really, it will have to really suck at that point if I'm, engaging in or headed towards engaging in that kind of habit or that kind of action. And that's sort of indication that, like, I've screwed up if I'm PMOing. It's not PMOing itself, it's not Nofap itself, but it's like an indicator, I mean, it's kind of like with some folks, like, it's like drinking or smoking. 1 or 2 drinks every so often, maybe even 1 or 2 cigarettes every so often. I mean, yeah, it's still not healthy. You're still putting poison or toxins into your body, but at the same time, it's kind of like 1 or 2 every so often, not a big deal. But if you find yourself, like, downing an entire 6-packs, 12-packs, 24-packs, entire boxes or cartons of cigarettes, or smoking them, or marijuana, entire bowls of marijuana left and right, one after the next. Like, okay, it's an indicator that there's obviously something off in your life, and you do have an issue, you do have a problem, and it's something that will need to be addressed. It's just kind of like with PMO, except that I would say, like, personally speaking, look, I don't see PMOing, even if you were to do that once in a while, it's something that's worth doing. It just kind of sort of seems like you're literally wasting your time and your energy and your effort, and you're engaging in something that is, I almost feel like it's more dangerous than a lot of other stuff, because it's all rooted in desires and needs that you're always going to have, and so if you do get into that sort of stuff, like, it's that much more difficult to escape. But anyways, I'm at work right now, just parked the car, and I'm going to head in, and I'll upload this video. This is actually an actual Nofap vlog sort of thing, so I think there's a point to uploading it. But anywho's, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.